All right, good afternoon, listeners. You're listening to Lament of Hope blog and podcast. I'm really excited today. I'm speaking with Lucy Lee Flippin. She is well known, actually, as Eliza Jane Wilder on the Little House on the Prairie series, so Almanzo Wilder's sister. Um, it's been crazy this year. I have met so many of the cast members from Little House, and it's been such one of the most endearing things I think about the show is that it's such a family-oriented show that it's kind of found itself in the places of so many families throughout the generations. And so getting to meet the characters and the cast kind of brings it to life, but also just makes it even more kind of nostalgic and special as a show. Um, Lucy, I wanted to ask you a question that I really wondered for a while. Um, you know how Eliza Jane in the episode where um Almanzo and Laura are fighting. And you know how Eliza Jane pretends that she's going to be married to someone in order
Oh yeah,
yeah, so that Laura and Almanzo can have the house.
yes.
And she never tells them that that was a lie, and so for a long time like they actually believe she's getting married to this person. Um like for you as the actor for your character's sake, like how did that feel with that decision your character made? Because it's a very drastic decision, and everyone on the show was so sad, obviously, because we wanted that guy to like you, and I don't remember his name. Um, but how did it feel for you, for your character, that like she didn't ever end up finding a love for herself?
Well, we're not sure if she does or she doesn't. Um, you're right, she lied to them, didn't she?
Yeah.
But she did it for a great cause because they probably wouldn't have gone along with, they probably all would have lived in the house together. And Eliza Jane wasn't comfortable with that. Um, she did the right thing, but she went about it. I mean, I don't know how else she could have pulled it off. But
Yeah.
obviously they worked it out because I came back after Alonzo had his stroke and nothing was discussed about that, like Eliza Jane, why did you tell us something that didn't turn out to be true? You know, so but you're the first person to bring that up, through the years. How did I feel about not telling the truth?
Yeah, because I'd wondered, what did you want to happen to your character? Because you're right that you kind of show up sporadically, kind of until the end of the entire series.
Right, I
Um,
came back, I think, for three
yeah.
more
What
two-parter.
what kind of what did you want? Were you hoping that something would happen specifically with your character, or
Oh, for sure. But you know what? I decided she and Harv weren't really compatible. I don't see him reading books, that character.
he
And she
doesn't?
and
That's
she
true.
was kind of into improving her mind, if you could put it that way. And he was a very simple soul, Harv. He didn't
Yeah,
realize he was hurting her. I don't think he realized he was taking advantage of her emotions, you
yeah,
know? So I rationalized that maybe she didn't find somebody else, but she was bright and I think she knew how to occupy herself. Um,
yeah,
she's very industrious and a hard worker. I hope maybe she did in real life. The real Eliza Jane, married late, like in her 40s, and had a son. She found love late,
hmm.
and then he unfortunately died. He
Well,
was a widower, but then she married a writer, You know how risky that is.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out, but she just kept plugging away. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So she married a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah. She did everything kind of late. And she was a homesteader, you know.
But
That's why she taught.
they didn't want to show that in the film because you were older in the film, I thought too, right?
Older than who?
Well, you were older in the film age-wise. So I would think they would try to introduce one of those guys in the series.
Oh, you mean have her hook up with somebody who was a regular?
Not necessarily a regular, but add in the character that you actually married in real life.
Oh, oh, I see. It just, the series didn't last that long for that to
Yeah, no, that's
happen.
true.
And then I left to do another show. I mean, that's why I left. Complicated. Do you remember the show Alice?
Yes, yes, I've heard of it.
And there was a character called Flo, and she said, "Kiss my grits" all the time. Well, they created a spin-off show from Alice, and I played her younger sister. That's why I left Little House.
Oh, wow,
So,
okay.
so if I hadn't left, I wonder what would have happened. It would have all been up to Michael Landon, as you know.
Yeah.
He came up with these different plots. But
Did you did you enjoy working with him?
oh, absolutely. He had a fabulous sense of humor, and it could be dangerous. I mean, a mouse could jump out of his shirt or something. I mean, I I had a couple scenes with him, and they were always very serious. I had one where I had a bully in class, and Pa came to sort out the problem, and I did not like working with him acting wise because I just wanted to burst into hilarious reactions to him. I mean, it was really hard to concentrate because his humor just was effusive and really helpful.
Did you have a specific memory that you remember that he was particularly funny and it was really difficult to get through the scene?
No, I just tried not to look into his eyes, which isn't very nice if you're having a scene with someone. It's a polite thing to do to look into their eyes. No, but
Did he ever comment on that you didn't look at him?
no, no,
No.
no,
So he got
no,
away with it pretty well, huh?
no. He was amazing. As you know, he wrote a lot of the episodes, he directed a lot of them, and then he had to direct himself in them. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah. No, it's quite an accomplishment. Um, did you um relate to your character at all on a personal level? Like you and Eliza Jane, did you see any similarities that you found easy to just show on the screen?
Um, yeah, I'm thinking of Michael Landon, but the writers, they had her as being shy. And I used to be painfully shy when I was a little girl. I was the last child and the only girl in the family. And I related to that. Um, when I got on the show, it was before, internet. So I couldn't Google Eliza Jane. I mean, you can do it now. And I found out some kind of negative qualities she had that I wasn't aware of. So she would have been rather different, I think, if I'd known more about her. She was apparently very bossy and opinionated. Um, but I went to a very strict school where we had to sit up straight. I mean, they were very rigid about that. And that's probably why I made her have good posture, Eliza Jane. And very, very kind of specific and organized. Um, but no, there was a bit of me in her, I have to say. She
What did
wasn't
you,
as silly as me, that's for sure.
but how are you silly compared to the character? Because you said you're sillier. So if
Oh,
you're
well, now I
sillier,
am. I mean, maybe because I'm so old, I can be silly. But and they didn't write her silly.
what do you do silly now? Like, what would you consider silly?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Uh, that's a tough question. Just um,
Because it sounds like from the way you're describing it, you see some things you do as more silly than others. Um, I was just wondering like what kind of things you would think are silly and um kind of frivolous that you do.
I guess I still pretend I'm other people. I love to speak Spanish and
Oh wow.
French, and I kind of go into different characters. But since I was a little girl, I did that. My mother and I would pretend we were on board ship and we were having tea, and we would impersonate different people from around the world, like,
Oh,
an Indian and,
that's so
I mean,
fun.
it's, and she would read Charles Dickens to me every night. I don't know if you ever had to read him. I mean, he's like glorious. I mean, so detailed oriented and
Yeah.
these wonderful characters and character names. Yeah. So, and I don't know, I think it gets you through humor, you know,
Yeah.
tough times.
Is there has there been a especially tough time in your life that you found humor was very helpful?
I guess certain funerals I've been to, I mean, just weird, funny things happen that just lighten things up. Like uh, when my father died, I was sitting next to my uncle, get a pretzel stick, and he took out his cigarette lighter and tried to light my pretzel. No, my pretzel stick. No, just doing something out of habit. Because in those days, men lit women's cigarettes,
But you were
and
just eating a pretzel.
he thought I was reaching for maybe he'd had a bit of wine. I don't remember the details, but he tried to light my pretzel stick. I mean,
What did
things
you
like that.
do?
I I started. I mean, I started laughing. I mean, what? I didn't want my pretzel to burn. Yes.
Were you close to your dad? Was the funeral difficult?
Um, yeah, of course. Yeah.
What fond memories do you have of your dad? Because I know you mentioned with your mom having those tea parties. Did you and your dad do anything specific?
Um, just through athletics, and he was always a big cheerleader for me, but he never saw me do anything of note. I was a nurse on a soap opera, and that he saw that, but I mean, that was not, I'm just sorry he didn't live longer, you know.
Yeah. Did your mom get to see any of your acting?
Yes, I called her on the phone when I got my first television job in Los Angeles. I called her on the phone. I said, Mother, guess what? I'm going to be on the Bob Newhart show. Pause. Dearie, who is Bob Newhart? You know where I'm going with this. She didn't watch television except 60 Minutes and Lawrence Welk. So it didn't mean anything to her. Yeah, but that's all right.
Were you
She,
the were you an only child or did you have siblings?
oh no, I had two older brothers.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry, forgive me. I didn't sleep super well last night, so I'm like
Oh
holding in my
no.
yawns. But I was were your older brothers in entertainment as well or no? They were doing something different.
No. I called my oldest brother. I got on the Tonight Show and I called him up to tell him to watch. I said, Jim, you've got to watch the Tonight Show. And he said, Lucy Lee, you woke me up. I thought, well, that didn't go well. I'm not going to tell anyone in my family anymore to watch.
Oh.
They just,
Did they get to see your little house at all?
um, I don't think so.
Okay. Now are your brothers still alive?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I've forgiven him. Yes.
Oh, they just weren't interested in it.
Yeah, not particular. If they did watch it, they never said anything other than maybe you remind me of, great aunt so and so.
So then who was your biggest cheerleader when in the entertainment industry as you were getting out doing acting? Did you have a friend or a coach or somebody who was really rooting for you as you were getting roles and acting?
You mean growing up or
Yeah.
um no. 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 My mother wanted me to be a dancer and my father wanted me to work at the local radio station.
Oh.
I think they thought if I became an actress that was a little shady. It was a little suspect choice. This is back in the 50s, you realize, in the 60s.
Yeah. What made you want to be an actress?
Um, I almost became a film editor
Hmm.
after college. I was offered a job and I thought, oh, I want to perform a little bit. I was a professional ice skater
Oh, wow.
after college, and I thought that only lasted a year. It was too difficult. And I thought I'll try acting for a little bit. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go to film editing. And I just kept at it. I moved to New York and I was there for 10 years. And finally I got an agent.
Wow. So
Um,
perseverance for sure.
did a lot of theater and ended up at Lincoln Center. I was in a Shakespeare play where I had to kiss Richard Gere
Oh,
before he
wow.
became famous. Yeah. And then my agent moved to Los Angeles, and that's how I moved to Los Angeles. And then the Bob Newhart show my
Wow.
first TV.
Was there a particular role you always wanted to get and maybe you haven't, or was there a particular character you're like, man, I hope one day I can play that character?
Ah, mm. I know I would see maybe on Broadway or on TV, I would see a show and think, I could have done that, or why wasn't I sent up for that, you know?
Yeah.
But there, um, I was crazy about anything by Tennessee Williams.
Yeah.
He really wrote well for women. Um, but no, I've never been asked that question. That's a great question. No, I guess the answer is not really. I didn't have a one role I was dying to play.
When you were talking about how Tennessee Williams portrayed women and you liked that, how did he portray them that really resonated with you?
Uh, Actually, his women, they're not fully self-sufficient in a real weird way. They're
Hmm.
usually Southern and vulnerable. And come to think of it, they have one has a limp, one is an alcoholic, one is painfully shy. Here we go again. You, you know, they need a good man in their life. The Night of the Iguana, I liked that a lot. There's a character, Hannah
Hmm.
Jelks. She takes care of her grandfather. She pushes them around in a wheelchair,
Oh wow.
and they travel the world, and she
Hmm.
meets the Richard Burton character. I don't know if you saw the movie, and it's you see what might have been. You know that nothing's going to happen, but that she, I don't know,
Wow.
it's these unfulfilled women.
Hmm.
But I mean, he's such a good writer.
It's interesting though, because I don't know about you, how you feel about this, especially since, you've lived through several different periods and I have, and have seen so many culture changes and so forth. Um, but do you feel that women have more opportunities to find fulfillment now than they did maybe when you were younger, when you were a girl? Or do you find that the search for fulfillment hasn't really changed that much since you were younger?
You're talking about professionally or just,
Professionally or even personally, because like the women you were talking about, the ones, the one who is an alcoholic, the one who is physically handicapped, it seems like they're looking for life fulfillment, not just a career. Um, for you, have you found that women can find a life fulfillment easier now than they could before? Or do you think it's really just not changed much? It's the same.
oh, I think it's much easier now. There are certain parts of the country where it's probably still frowned upon, um, where a woman graduates from high school and she finds a good man and she becomes a mom. Bing, bing, bing. I mean, right away. There's no thought of a profession, um, just in certain pockets of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general, it's much easier now for women. Do you think so?
I do think so, like professionally. I think emotionally, um, I think it's the same kind of search for fulfillment. honestly, that it's always been. I think the career has opened more doors for women, but I don't know if that's necessarily made emotional fulfillment better, because you still
Hmm.
have a lot of women and girls who seem to be very depressed, anxious, even if they do have like great careers or they have a lot of opportunities. It doesn't seem like the opportunities necessarily negate how they're emotionally or spiritually even doing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I was going to ask you too, like for you, I mean, you've gotten this amazing opportunity to be part of a show that will live on for a long time, if not forever. I mean, hopefully, right? It's so endearing. It's beloved. All ages can watch it. Um,
Hmm.
like for you, when I was talking to Bonnie Bartlett, and for people listening, that's gonna be Mrs. Edwards from Little House on the Prairie. She told me that for her, like one of the biggest fulfillments for her is the fact that when she dies, she'll live on through the series. And so for her, that's kind of like she made something that will last. And so she's satisfied with that. For you
Oh, that's lovely.
personally, yeah, yeah, it was really sweet to hear. And it was one of the first times I'd actually heard an actress express it that way. Um, but for you, where have you found your fulfillment in life? And do you connect it to your work, like to the film that you've done, to Little House on the Prairie? Or do you see it as something beyond that?
I can only go by what people have told me,
Okay.
um, especially going to the 50th anniversary recently.
Yeah.
And I have the fans come up and say, I became a teacher because of you.
Hmm.
And I got through chemo watching the show and have people say, I grew up with you. I mean, it's emotionally amazing to me.
Yeah.
And and I wanted to say, I'm just an actor. I'm not actually a teacher. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my phone.
Oh,
That's
you're
terrible.
good.
There,
You're
I
good.
turned it off. Um, no, but hearing what you told me now about Bonnie, I mean, that's totally awesome to think it will carry on through the years, Little House, and I'm a part of that. Um, but my career as a whole, I just hope I've engaged people through the different characters and um, uplifted them. I've heard from several people who have been ill, and that's all they can do is watch television,
Yeah.
and how they've just enjoyed my contributions. I mean, which is means a great deal to me.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been a privilege to be able to, I don't know, be a conduit, if you could put it that way. But
Do you think it's been fulfilling? Like your life has been fulfilled by it? Or do you wish there was something more you could do or that you did before?
um, I guess part of the reason I stopped is I don't know, I wanted a different environment where I don't feel so stressed. It's very stressful being an actor. I
Yeah.
think you're always worried about your next job. And I had lived in Los Angeles for 35 years when I guess Pennsylvania was calling me back and I wanted 4 seasons. I wanted a rural situation. like
Yeah.
Little House. That's funny. And here I am. I'm in a 1767 farmhouse that's crooked. I mean, half of it is sloped. I'm, I'm the little old lady that lived in the shoe. No, so no, I just need to mix it up, you know?
Yeah. Did you ever end up getting married?
Yes, I was married and I have a son, and now I'm with someone else for 40 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he was a writer and a critic and a columnist, and yeah, he's from the business. So that's fun.
Are you close to your son?
Am I what?
Are you close to your son?
Am I close?
Yeah. Do you see
Oh,
him
for
often?
sure. Oh yeah.
Does he like Little House on the Prairie?
I don't think he ever watched it.
Your family members are not really on the ball with this show, are
No,
they?
no, no. Isn't that amazing?
That is crazy.
So they're not with me because of Little House, right?
What do you like to do now? Like, what are your hobbies? Do you enjoy writing? Have you, um, I know you still do some Little House fan events, obviously, but is there something
Right.
that you really love doing?
Well, we're trying to fix up this dilapidated farmhouse and go into Philadelphia, um, New York occasionally. Um, the usual, trying to cook something interesting, um, growing asparagus,
Oh,
um, and there's always so much to do here, I have to say. And then, of course, I love Netflix.
me too.
Yay!
There's some good shows on there. Have you seen one you've liked?
um, I have kind of strange taste. Um, oh, and PBS last night. They saw, I love English
Yeah.
mysteries, you know,
Okay.
um, and, but you said hobbies. I'm crazy about obviously figure skating, but the
Yes, I
season's
never knew you
over.
were a professional. That's so
Yeah,
cool. I never knew that.
it was right. It was just sort of a lark to do after college. And it turned out that's how I got into the acting union, as I was in the Variety Artists Union when I joined the ice show.
Wow. And
Yeah.
you still do that? You still ice skate?
What, skate?
Yeah.
Skate? Oh, no, no.
Oh, no skating? Okay.
My hips won't allow me. Yeah.
But what do you like to do for exercise? Like, do you like walking?
Oh, yeah. And I do a lot of stairs here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, walking, and I have a bicycle on the porch, a standing bicycle. You sound like my primary care physician.
What are you doing to get outside? What are you exercising? You know what? It's probably
Yeah.
because I just came back from a primary care doctor visit. So I'm in that mode.
Today?
Yeah, I'm in that mode.
Oh
That's what it is.
no. Did you get
Um,
a lecture?
did I get a lecture? Um, no, not really, not a lecture. I wouldn't say it was a lecture. She's a very nice doctor. She kind of asks you questions to get you to realize what you're not doing right. You know what I mean? As opposed to like
Oh,
lecturing you. It's like,
Interesting.
did you do this? And you go, no. And then it's like, did you do this? No. And then you're like, probably should be doing it. That's the point of that. Um, well, Lucy, what does life mean to you? I mean, you've lived a full life. You're in your 80s now. Um, what does life mean to you?
Um, the time is very, very valuable now. The
Hmm.
older I get, the more I cherish it. And I'm more persnickety about what choices I make,
Hmm.
where I go. Um, I'm aware that, I'm going down the hill now. Um, and if there's something I really want to do, I really have to do it right away.
Yeah.
That sounds so gruesome. I don't mean it to sound that way.
No, I know
I
what you
know,
mean.
I know I met a man who said, I bought my terminal car today. And I thought that's depressing, you know, meaning the last car he's ever going to buy.
Yeah.
And now I understand what he means. But
Yeah.
it's a little grisly, but there's some truth to it.
Are you afraid of passing away, or is that not scary to you?
Not particularly. I have no control over it.
Yeah.
Um, I hope I'm near a loved one, when it happens. But sometimes, as you know, it just happens so abruptly. You
Yeah.
can't plan. Yeah. Oh, this is heavy duty. I feel like I'm with my shrink. I do. I
I
don't have a
guess
shrink.
I'm changing into all these different people asking all these questions. We'll see, you'll be well prepared because then when they ask you, you'll be like, ah, I already answered this. Um,
So I don't have to go to the shrink.
well, Lucy, just as one last question, um, what song, if you were gonna pick like a song, it could be like a theme song, something that has words, something that doesn't. It can't be Little House on the Prairie theme song. One exception. What kind of song do you think describes your personality? If somebody was going to play like a little ditty for a party or for an event that you were going to be speaking at, what kind of song, instrumental voice captures who you are as a person? And it can't be the
Oh,
theme song of Little House, so no picking that one.
oh, that's a tough one. A song. I can think of two I really like.
There
It
you
Had to
go.
Be You. Do you know It Had to Be You?
Who's the artist?
I think Cole Porter.
I'll have to look it
And
up.
I'll See You Again by Noel Coward.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
I'll see you again whenever spring breaks through again. Whatever. You don't want to hear me sing, but
No. Why those two? Why'd you pick those?
they're very nostalgic. They're hopeful. I'll see you again,
Yeah.
or It Had to Be You. It's the person I'm talking to. It's it's connecting with the other person, and that's why I'm with them.
Yeah.
They're both old school, I think Noel Coward must have written that in the 30s. And
You know,
Cole
old
Porter,
songs are the best. I love oldies, old songs.
it's very simple.
Yeah, yeah, but they're very heartfelt. You know what I mean? Like they don't say a ton of there's not a lot of words, but what they do say, like it just makes sense. You know what I mean?
The melody.
Yeah. Well, Lucy, I mean, thank you so much. I've been so blessed to get to connect and talk with you, and I know we've been scheduling back and forth a bit, but it's been so great to finally get to talk with you and make the time.
Oh, thank you. Your questions are amazing. Seriously.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
No, if you want to be a therapist, I think you'd be fabulous.
Okay, maybe you'll be my first client. I'll email you.